Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and Saturday night dance. I like the way you move. It's Saturday night. We've got a big game on Sunday tomorrow, and we've got a lot to talk about tonight as well. A bit of a boost around Varane. I mean, I don't know how likely. We'll talk about that. I don't know how likely it is that we're going to sign Varane, but there certainly are positive news and vibes coming out of Spain, particularly Spanish reports. Marca. And I believe AS as well, also talking about Varane and his exit this summer from Real Madrid and what that means. I certainly think Manchester United should put him in the first position. I personally think they should. I also want to talk about a couple of other things, but I do really want to get into tonight. I've had to change the title of the show because of the Varane story, but I really wanted to touch on Solskjaer's setup to fail and sort of deep dive into that and get your opinion on that, because I'm sure many of you watch I did it as a watch along on That's Football, but I'm sure many of you watch Man City play at lunchtime. And I think that what really bothers me is that it's different, isn't it? There's a different problem at Manchester United. And I think that when you look at Man City, 5 first-team players did not start against West Ham, who were 5th, and they still beat them. And this drama and merry-go-round that we go round every year about, oh, will we sign Sancho? No, we won't. Oh, will we buy a centre-back? No, we won't. And then we might get them next summer, but we'll get a cheap version. Everything is done on the cheap by United's ownership. And yet Man City just go out and buy excellence. And their bench is full of internationals. Laporte would start and be the best centre-back for any team currently in the Premier League apart from Man City, and he sits on the bench. And yet, I hear you constantly saying, when are we going to win the title? When will we be title contenders? And the honest answer is, I think it's hard for Chelsea to become title contenders, even with their owners who spend money, because Man City are so good. How the hell are we going to become title contenders when we're up against a team that's got a great manager, a fantastic squad, and owners who will keep buying and buying and buying and buying? And we won't. Man City have got world-class players on their bench. We haven't even completed our 11. And that's what we're up against. So it is interesting, isn't it? But we will see. City are going to strengthen again, says Ashia. Yeah, well, I want to get into that in a few minutes. But let's start off with this story on a positive note. Stories coming out of Spain. Marca saying that, well, we know Varane is in a similar position to Jesse Lingard, Paul Pogba as well, whereby they don't have the money. They do have the money. They've got a year left on their contract in the summer. And Real Madrid, according to Spanish reports, are increasingly open to selling Varane this summer because they can't get him to sign a new contract. They want him to stay. They're still hopeful he'll stay. But if he doesn't sign a new contract, they will sell him in the summer. And that's coming out of Spain. So they're in this weird situation, Real Madrid, because they've got Ramos, who's out of contract this summer. They've got Varane, who's out of summer next summer. And they're trying to get Alaba to come, who's out of contract this summer. So they're probably going to have to pay 14 million for each one of those players, even though there's no outlay. The new contract of Varane will probably be 14 million. The new contract of Ramos will probably be 14 million. And to get Alaba, they'll probably have to give him 14 million in wages. So there's an outlay of around 30 million pounds that Real Madrid are going to have to make in the summer for different reasons. One, Ramos goes free if they don't this summer. 2, Varane will have to be sold this summer because he'll go free the next summer. And obviously Alaba, if they want to get him on a free. So it's a big summer for a lot of clubs, United as well. But I just want to say that I don't think Manchester United will get Varane. I actually think he will stay at Real Madrid. But I do think that if there is any possibility, he should be number 1 for me. He's 28 in April. But I've always been a big fan of Varane. I remember Varane being linked to us when Mourinho was here. I think I'm right in saying that Sir Alex wanted to get Varane before he went to Real Madrid, and Zidane nipped in and got him. That doesn't seem like it fits to me, because I don't think Zidane was at Madrid he wasn't at Madrid when Sir Alex was there. But I do think we tried to get. Maybe it was Mourinho, not Sir Alex, actually. Maybe that would be more about right. Although I'm pretty sure Sir Alex did want him when he was a youngster. But I'd have to look into that deeper. But I like Varane. and I would like Varane to come to Manchester United. So I would put him at number 1 for definite. Yeah. So I don't know what anybody else thinks about that, but I really do. I would put him ahead of a Koundé. I would put him ahead of others on that score, definitely. So Mark, you seem stressed. I've got a glass of wine. It's Saturday night. I've just had an Indian takeaway. I feel absolutely fine. I don't know what people are talking about. But look, I think that I would put Varane at number 1. I do think if he doesn't sign a contract, it's interesting. And I also think it's interesting in relation to Paul Pogba and Rafael Varane. I think it's very interesting in relation whether we can do anything there. Mark, I want a new fast centre-back. But watching Stones and Diaz, I think they are particularly fast. I don't think they are particularly fast, but I think they are better coached. I fear even with the new centre-back, we will still need better coaching. I think that's a great point by Sheikh. I think it's a really great point on that. I think it's... I do think that there are issues around Manchester United defensively in relation to our coaching, but I do think that if Harry Maguire was a centre-back for Manchester City, that he wouldn't be anywhere near as good as Stones and Diaz, regardless of Pep coaching him. I think they might not be quick, but they are quick in the way they read the game, and their body shape is different to Maguire. And I'm not talking about physical body shape, just the way they play football is different. They're more agile. They read the game quicker. Maguire isn't that sort of a player, and Lindelof, I think Lindelof would suit Pep's system probably better than the way Maguire does. But we've got to deal with what we've got, and I think we can definitely defend better than what we are. And I think that's the challenge for Manchester United. But we do need a centre-back, and I would like Varane to be the number 1 choice. And it's interesting that it's Spanish outlets talking about Real Madrid will sell him in the summer, and obviously we know that Pogba probably would like to go to Real Madrid, so maybe there's something that could be done there. But I think Varane's probably quite unlikely, but I'd certainly put him as a sort of number 1 choice, definitely. Speed is needed in midfield and in the defence, says Michael Jones, and bring Vidic back, says Gaza, as a defensive coach. And Mark, in your opinion, will Varane come to United? I don't know. I think you've got to have a hit list. You've got to have Varane. You've got to have Koundé. You've got to have every good centre back that's possible has to be in that list that suits the profile that we need. Man, maybe City has better CDMs, says Sheikh, and I think that's very important as well. I do think that the way City protect their centre backs is better than the way we protect our centre backs, without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah, definitely. Varane's not particularly slow. No, I don't think Varane's slow at all. Somebody just said, Darren, is he slow? I don't think Varane's slow. I think he's deceptively quick, actually. I've always felt that I've always seen Varane as a quick centre-back anyway, but I don't think he's perceived as being quick, but I think he actually is quick. I think he'd suit Manchester United perfectly. Michael Jones talking about a director of football. Yeah, I definitely think we need that. Varane is super fast, says Nathaniel. I mean, I don't know how fast he is, but I've never thought of him as being slow. In fact, a lot of people are saying he's one of the fastest centre-backs in Europe. So, yeah. I mean, look, I must admit I don't really watch the Liga that much, but Varane's as I said, I would put Varane numero 1. I think he should be United's number 1 target. If you don't get him, Koundé's number 2, and I'd be very happy with Koundé. But that's what Manchester United should be aiming to do, without a shadow of a doubt. But yeah, it's probably the hardest one to do. But that brings me perfectly, and I'm glad that the comment was there made about City's defenders, because going back to what I was talking about, I couldn't believe it today. I literally could not believe how West Ham and Man City was quite a close game. And I thought, well done, West Ham. And then I thought, well, Sterling's not starting, Foden's not starting, Rodri's not starting, Bernardo Silva's not starting, and Cancelo's not starting. And also on the bench is Laporte. And I'm like, amongst others, I'm like, they have half of their team is not starting. And they are well in the game against West Ham. And to the untrained eye, you might not even think about that, because they've still got Gundogan, De Bruyne, Fernandinho as their midfield 3, and they've got Aguero, Torres and Mahrez as their front 3. So I just think Man City's strength in depth has become deceptively world class, and I think that Liverpool get 2 or 3 injuries and they suddenly don't have a bench. Manchester United, we've got a very big squad, but we haven't got that depth in squad, and I think that one of the worst things about this season is that it's allowed us to fall into a false sense of security. I saw somebody quoting a tweet of mine today And I said, if we beat Wolves and Villa, I think we've got a really good chance of winning the league. And this was just over the New Year. Well, we did beat Wolves and Villa, and we're not going to win the league. Because the reason we're not going to win the league is because Man City have won every game in the last 30 years by the looks of it. They're not drawing, they're not losing, they're winning every single game. We can't do that. We know we can't do that. We're having a very good season, and despite the board not really backing Ollie last summer, we are having a good season. We're second in the league, but we also know we could drop points tomorrow at Chelsea, we could drop points next week at Man City, we could drop points at Crystal Palace. We go into every game knowing that we can drop points. Man City go into every game knowing they're not going to draw, let alone drop points. So they are, when you talk about, and I said this about Thomas Tuchel a few weeks ago, I said I don't think he'll last at Chelsea for more than 18 months because Roman will sack him when he doesn't win the league. He'll do well at Chelsea, but he won't win the league because he's not going to break that axis of Pep and Klopp. Well, at the moment, they're not going to get anywhere near Pep. City will buy in the summer, and they've already got a squad full of world-class... They've got a bench full of world-class players already. And they are going to win the title, and they might win the treble, and they might win the quadruple. But they have built a squad without spending any more than 60 million on any player. They've built a squad of world-class players. This puts United to shame. This is, as I said, Solskjaer set up to fail, maybe. Hi, Mark. Varane does make mistakes for Real Madrid, especially in the group stage of the Champions League this season, but he's way better than what we have, says that boosts joy. Yeah, 100%. And Bjorin says, I hate how easy it is for you to change my mind. I never liked Varane. Too many mistakes and too ignorant for my taste. But as soon as you said you'd like him here, I can suddenly see why. But hey, again, haven't watched La Liga for a couple of years. Love the show as well. Look, I don't mind if people don't want Varane. I don't think it would be an out there statement to say that people don't want Varane. But I've always liked him as a player, and I think somebody who's only just going to be 28 in April, I think that he's got 4, 5 years, 6 years left at the top. I would take him. I would do a deal with them for Pogba for him. So, yeah, I would take him. Definitely. There's no easy way out. There's no shortcut home. There's no easy way out. Go on, give it. Can't be wrong. Come on, I do like that song, Lloyd. Classic tune from Rocky 4. Very, very good. Can't remember who wrote it. Thanks for the super chat from Lucas Glory as well. Please smash a like on the video. But yeah, we need a left-footed Varane. I'm not too bothered about the left-footed bit. But going back to what I was talking about, do you not feel that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is set up to fail? Forget the Ollie outers, some of which you will be. But forget all the Ollie outers. Forget the lack of tactics, whatever the criticisms of Ollie. Think about whoever your manager is. Imagine Ollie got sacked in the summer for the people who wanted... Sorry, imagine Ollie got sacked in the autumn for the people who wanted Pochettino. And Pochettino's the manager now. Or Mourinho's still the manager for the people that want Mourinho to be here. Or Nagelsmann's the manager now. Or Ollie's the manager now. Imagine whatever manager... Let's play a game. Imagine whatever manager you want to be as Manchester United manager right now. Do you think they are set up to fail? Because I do. I do. That Man City game today was a massive eye-opener. Not in the sense that it was a shock, but in the sense that I do not see how we are going to turn this situation around at Manchester United to become a title-winning side. I think we've already messed it up. I don't think we're heading in the right direction. We're making progress. I read an article today about how Manchester United, their transfer strategy is starting to work because they won't be held to ransom. And the story was about how last summer Dortmund wanted 100 million, but United are going to hold out and they might get him for 50 million this summer, and that proves United's strategy is good. And I'm reading this and I'm going, who's writing this and how much are they being paid by United to write it? What a load of crap. How does that impact on me as a Man United fan? How does that impact on you as Man United fans? How does that impact on the footballing side of Manchester United that we're getting it right because we didn't buy Sancho for 100 million last year, but we might get him for 50 million this summer? There's been a whole season of football. There was a potential title race to be in. How is this a story and why is it relevant? United are getting their transfer strategy right because the Glazers are going to save 50 million on a deal they should have done a year ago. Business FC, not Football Club FC. And this is the nonsense that is depriving us of where we should be. I think the attitude and the way this club has been run over the last decade is already making it virtually impossible for any Manchester United manager to get anywhere near well-run clubs like Liverpool and Chelsea, let alone City, who I don't think Liverpool and Chelsea have got much chance of getting near them. City have constructed a team. They've got one of the best managers in the world. They've constructed a team over the last 7 years where they've never spent more than 60 million, but they've built a team of world-class players. Sterling is a £100 million player. De Bruyne is a £100 million player. Aguero has been a £100 million player. Mahrez is probably £80 million player now. They don't buy players. They spend a lot of money. They do turn the oil tap on, but they buy ridiculously well. And they've constructed this squad, which is full. Their bench is full of world-class players. And some United fans think, if we get a centre-back and a right winger, we're going to win the league next year. How? How is a centre-back and a right winger going to make that United team compete with that Man City team? Just looking at the players they've got, let alone the difference in coaching style. We are not set up to be anywhere near the likes of Man City next season. And yet, we're going into another summer where we're on our hands and knees praying that the board will actually get players that Ollie needs for his first 11, let alone his bench. It was an eye-opener for me at lunchtime because I was like, you know what? We've got to wake up and realise just how far behind we are. Now, that doesn't mean we could have scammed a Premier League title this year. If Man City had carried on being inconsistent like they were before Christmas, maybe we could have stayed in a title race. Maybe we could have snatched one. But God, I just don't. We've got holes in our first team. Man City haven't even got holes on their bench. And as long as Pep's there and as long as they've got that infrastructure, they're just going to keep plugging the gaps. And it won't be long before Man City have got a bench like Bayern Munich and PSG where you look at it and go, oh my God. And I think that's what Man City have. This is the scary thing. I think Man City, they're not looking at the Premier League. They know they can win the Premier League. I think Man City looked at the Champions League final last year. They looked at the starting 11s and they looked at the benches. And look, go back to the Champions League final last year between PSG and Bayern and look at the bench of both teams. It's ridiculous. The quality on the bench of those teams. I think Man City have looked at that and that's their next step. They're not looking at the Premier League. They're aspiring to win the Champions League with a bench full of world-class players. They're not going to let up. So we can get a centre-back and we can get a right winger, but we're still going to have McFred and Matic running around in the midfield next season with no depth. We're bloody miles off. And what is the strategy to close that gap? You know what I think the strategy is? Try and convince our fan base that we are trying to win a title when we've got absolutely no hope. I wouldn't be surprised in private if there's meetings going on. We just can't compete with that. We're trying to make money, not win trophies. How can we compete? What are Man City doing? They're spending all this money. Why? Are they only interested in winning trophies? Like, what about making money? And this is where we're going wrong. It's got nothing to do with Solskjaer, and it's got nothing to do with any manager, whatever manager you want, whatever squad you want. We're not set up and we don't have the plan or infrastructure to go anywhere near Man City, whether it's a director of football, they've got all that, whether it's the quality squad, they've got all that, whether it's the vision to keep building on that squad every year, whether it's backing their manager every year, whether it's ruthlessly removing players who aren't good enough anymore to replace them with better players. Their whole infrastructure is ridiculous, and anybody who lives in Manchester will tell you, if you take a visit to where the Etihad is and everything they've got set up there, whatever about oil money, the infrastructure around that football club is elite. And the infrastructure around Manchester United, Old Trafford is the greatest ground in the world for me, but it's decaying. There's not money being put into improving that ground. We are standing still and therefore we are going backwards. Shawbridge, Ty said Arsenal can win the league this season. I'm Ollie out till he stops. Magaluf Partnerships says Akrama. Thank you very much for letting us know that. Klopp would fix Man United, says Troy. Not in a million years. Not in a million years. I think we need to wake up to this. We are not going to get anywhere near winning a title until we start running this football club like a football club. And they can put as many press releases out as they like. They can speak to as many journalists who want to spin a positive as they like. But we are not being run like a football club. We are being run like a business. And that's all fine and well if everyone else is doing it. But there are 2 or 3 clubs in the same league as us who are out there relentlessly, some would say mercenary, trying to win the trophy every year. And we're trying to run a business. And something's got to give. Gamer Chaz says, do you think if we buy a fast centre-back, our full-backs will stop tucking in if they don't know whose fault it is, the coaches or the players? Well, Wan-Bissaka tucked in very early on against Real Sociedad on on Thursday night, and I don't even know why, because Eric Bailly was playing. I think we have realised the major reason is our board. We've got to wake up, says Munir. Yeah, well, I don't think that. I still think some people think get a better coach in and we'll be fine. But I'm telling you right now, you bring in whatever coach you want, and only you know what coach you want. You bring in whoever you want. I'm not going to say that we won't play better football. I'm not even going to say we might get another 5-6 points a season. But I think Solskjaer's done a fantastic job this year when he wasn't back last summer. I agree sometimes tactics are a bit naive. I agree sometimes subs are a bit late. But we are second in the league and we wouldn't be anywhere near Man City. And that's the most important thing. I don't care who your manager is. I don't care whether it's Klopp on Red Bull. I don't care whether it's Nagelsmann and Ancelotti's love child. I don't care who it is. They are not closing that gap on Man City this year. Man City have been relentless. That's the bar. The bar is not trying to get into a title race but be 30 points off the top in second like Mourinho did. The bar is to actually challenge Manchester City, and no manager will do it. No manager will do it. Sir Alex Ferguson couldn't do it now. You drop Sir Alex Ferguson in his prime, in charge of this team, he will not get near that Manchester City side. He won't, not in my opinion. Romanticists and fantasists will say you're talking out your arse because he's the greatest manager there has ever been, and he is. He is the greatest manager there has ever been, but he wouldn't be able to deal with that. He couldn't deal with Mourinho when he first came in because Mourinho was a bit like what Pep's doing now with that Chelsea team. He got the money and they were relentless. They won every single game virtually. They were absolutely amazing. I think they hardly conceded a goal all season. Sir Alex couldn't stop it. He needed a structure and he needed a plan to do it, and it took him time. And maybe he could do it in time, but not now. Be very, very difficult. So it doesn't matter what manager you put in charge of Manchester United, that board is not going to give a manager what he needs to do. And can I be blunt? It's all right me saying we're not going to do it. If you haven't got a plan to do it, there's no point me saying we're not going to do it. What Manchester United need, and I always get laughed at about this, from today to get close to Man City, from today, 300 million spending, no less. 300 million from today to get us closer to Manchester City. Yeah, you've got to have the good coaching. Yeah, you've got to get rid of some players. But 300 million from today. Not a centre-back and a right winger. A centre-back, a right winger, a centre defensive midfielder, a backup right back, another striker, another midfielder. 6 have got to come in. Now, 300 million straight away isn't enough, but you would also get rid of some players as well to help you out with that. But 300 million straight away. That's how far we are off Manchester City. Because, and look, we've spent $1 billion in the last 10 years. But not well. We haven't. Akash Akshat says not 300 million but good signings. No, I disagree, Akshat. I think it is 300 million because I think it's more than a centre-back, a centre defensive midfielder and a right winger. It's a lot more than that. We are a long, long way off. And remember, was it 18 months ago they were saying we're 3 years away? I think we're 3 years away now. I do. I don't think we're near. I think we were in a false sense of security in January where we thought we were in a title race. And I think, what did I say and what did some of you said? This league has been the best league ever because it's so unpredictable. But if Liverpool or Manchester City find the consistency of the last 2 years, this league is over. Well, Liverpool got worse. Manchester City found the form of a couple of years ago and they just walk away with it. And that league was always there to be walked away from. There was a time when I thought Liverpool were going to do it around Christmas time. And that was the danger. It has been a really good league season this year, but it was always, we always knew the truth that Liverpool and Man City are a league apart from everybody else. And if one of them hit form, they would take this league away. And unfortunately, it's been Man City this time, which I'd rather it be City than Liverpool, to be honest. Please subscribe, by the way, bottom right-hand corner. And we are on a road to that million now. So bottom right-hand corner to subscribe. In the last year, Man City, 550 million. Manchester United, £500. Lucas Glory. That can't be right. That can't be right. But you know what? I mean, Tony Bond, there's no need for that. I'm only expressing my opinion. And this channel's been going for 5 years. And of course, everybody else can have an opinion. But there's no need for idiotic comments like that. But what I would say is that I don't dispute that Manchester United have spent £1 billion since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, because we have. We've spent it badly. And it's not just about spending money. Like, I can't sit here and say we haven't spent money because I'd look an idiot. And we have spent money, but we never bought a director of football in, and we never got the managers the first choices. So we ended up spending bad money after bad players. And, you know, there's been millionaires who've won the lottery and won 8 million. And they're now living in poverty because they blew 8 million up the wall because they never had a clue what to do with it. Anybody can blow 8 million. Anybody can blow 1 billion on bad players. And not all of them were bad players, but this is what I mean about Manchester City. You can criticise them because they bought the club and they got a stadium and it's all oil money. You can do that. It's a very valid argument. But what you can't criticise them for is they didn't just walk in and be, you know, rich billionaires who know nothing about football, but we're going to pick this, we're going to buy this player, this player, this player, this player. They put people in place who are very good in the football world. And one of the things that's always impressed me about Man City is that they could go out and spend 150 million on Mbappe, 200 million on Neymar. They could do that. They'd find a way of doing it. They would do it. But what they've done that's really impressive is they've spent a lot of money, but Liverpool spent more on Van Dijk than they've ever spent. We've spent more on Maguire and Pogba than they've ever spent. They don't spend more than, their average signing must be around 50 million. And yet, they've bought people like De Bruyne, Aguero. More recently, they've bought people like Laporte and Diaz. And they get people who are not yet established world class, but will become world class. And their infrastructure, like I say, their ability to bring people in who know football, directors of football, sporting directors, whatever you want to call them, and their recruitment is brilliant. Yes, they've got the money to back that recruitment up, but their recruitment is brilliant. It's not like they've walked in and gone, here's 100 million for that player, here's 100 million for that player. They're getting them for 50, 40, 60 million pounds. And the easiest thing in the world for Manchester United is because Manchester United make a lot of money. They do make a lot of money. The reason they don't make a lot of money is because they're run by the Glazers, who run us like a business. But we make more money than most clubs. We make loads of money. And if we were running debt-free with owners that were only interested in pumping money into the club that it makes, we would be able to compete with any club. The reality is we're not debt-free, and we've got owners who want to run us like a business and really don't want to spend on players. They'll give a little bit, but they won't give what they should give. But if we were run like Manchester City, we could do what Man City do. We could actually, it's a sad state of affairs. I mean, Sir Alex called them the noisy neighbours, but we could just put our hands up and say we've got it wrong for the last 8 years. Look at what Man City's doing. That's what we've got to do. We need sporting directors in place. We need proper recruitment. We need specialists, and we need to build a squad that's going to be a challenge for Bayern Munich. We're not even building a squad that's a challenge for Everton. So there is a massive issue in relation to Manchester United's vision, and it's a very muddy vision, really. Everyone keeps telling us that we're going in the right direction and we're building a team for the future to win titles, and I hope that we are. But I think that sometimes you open your eyes and look at what's going on and you think, bloody hell. Some first team players should not technically be on the bench. Some bench should be nowhere near the club. Do you agree with me, says Sinead? Yes, I do. I think that, unfortunately, what I'm about to say is true. Manchester City are now the bench fart. They're the benchmark of British football. And what they had on the bench today and what Pep did today, that is the benchmark for Liverpool, Chelsea, Man United, every club. Because that is what's going to win the league for the next few years if nobody does anything about it. A team that can play fifth in the league, who's had the whole week off in West Ham, who are a good side, but you can rest half of your first team and leave it on the bench and still make it look like the best side in the Premier League that's starting. We should play it safe and buy Koundé and try to keep Pogba if we can. Koundé is young and class and with more development can make it become even better, says Nathan. According to Eurosport yesterday, United want Koundé yet don't want to pay 60 million plus, so Pau Torres is more feasible at 43. United don't want to overpay, says Salah Ahmed. And this is why we fail. There was a story tonight, I think I read it on Eurosport, about Jadon Sancho. And there was a story tonight about how United have been proven right on Jadon Sancho. I just said it a few minutes ago. United have been proven right on Jadon Sancho. Their new transfer strategy is becoming fruitful because they didn't pay 100 million for Sancho a year ago, and now they'll get him right for 50 million. Are we a bloody? Is this what the Wolf of Wall Street? Are we now? Is our entertainment meant to be about stocks and shares and getting a bargain? Like, we're a football club. We're a football club, and we're now like, we're not going to pay this. We're going to pay this. We won't get the best option in Koundé. We're going to get Pau Torres because he's £17 million cheaper. That is bullshit. That is absolute bullshit for a team that's trying to win trophies and close a gap on Man City. We won't get the best option. We'll get the cheap option. We won't get Sancho now because in a year's time his price will come down. I can't believe this is being celebrated or circulated as positive news. This does not help me as a United fan or you as a United fan. And this is not something we can sit there tonight whilst we're watching Netflix going, smug smile, my club saved 50 million in a year. We didn't get the player. We've been a bit shit off the right wing, but we've saved 50 million for the Glazers. Next season, smug smile. We didn't get the best option in Koundé, but we saved 17 million and we got half the player in Pau Torres. Back of the net. We're fighting for fourth. And this is now circulating in the media. We're actually being brainwashed to think that these things are good news stories. Oh, big up. I'm going to say it with my chest. Big up, United. You've saved 50 million. What are we going to do with that 50 million then? Where's that going to go? Or is it going to go to dividends to the Glazers, who in the last few years have taken £100 million in dividends as the owners of this football club? Do you know how much Chelsea have taken? 0. Do you know how much Man City have taken? 0. Do you know how much Spurs have taken? 0. Do you know how much Liverpool have taken? I think it's 8 million if it's that. Our owners have taken 100 million dividends. Hardly any other clubs in the Premier League have taken anything. And that's in the last few years. So I think we know what the story is. We've always known what the story is. If Man United was run properly by the owners, we wouldn't be having this conversation and changing managers, says Jack Lynch. 100%. Look, I don't know whether Solskjaer is going to be the right man. I cannot give that guarantee. I don't know. But what I can say is that he's definitely doing the job with one arm tied behind his back, just like every other manager. And maybe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, if he was here now, would say, listen to me, Goldie. I don't agree. I'm being backed by the manager. I got a present for Christmas. It was a lovely bottle of wine. And we're heading in the right direction. And I'm totally happy with what they've done. And I'd say, Ollie, I expect you to say that. You're under contract. You don't want to lose your job. I'm telling you, as a Man United fan who has been watching this club for the last 8 years and beyond under Glazers, you aren't getting backed. Did you have a summer like Frank Lampard last year or Pep Guardiola? No. How can that be a good summer when you're trying to close gaps on those teams? He's going to play the party line because he wants to keep his job. But the reality is no Manchester United manager is getting the full backing. And the full backing is what Chelsea tried to do last summer. Chelsea finished third. Lampard did well. Roman Abramovich and the team above said, what do you need? And he went, well, I need a centre-back. I need a goalkeeper. I need a goal scorer. I need a creative player. I need a left back, and whatever else he got. And they went and got everything. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer last summer said, I need a right winger and a centre back, probably a backup striker, but the priorities are right winger and a centre back. He didn't get either. If you don't plug the holes in your team, how can your team succeed? I hate easy for you to change my mind. I never liked Varane, but too many... Oh no, Bjorn, that's all right. Imagine paying 80 million for a slabhead, but not spending 60 for a class young centre-back in Koundé, says Nathan. Sell Pogba, Martial and Lindelof and other deadwood to buy in some because Glazers won't pay out their own pockets, says Quinstar. You know what? I don't even like talking about Harry Maguire and the fee that we played because it's not his fault. It isn't his fault. But you do continually hear that the Maguire deal is the deal that that stops United spending money. We heard it last summer with Sancho. United are reluctant to spend big on another player because they did it with Maguire. And we're hearing it with Koundé now. They're reluctant to spend £70 million on a centre-back. And I think they had their fingers burnt so badly on Harry Maguire that it's now preventing them spending big. But you know what this shows to me? This shows what happens when you've got bankers involved in football decisions. Because what's happening is they think Harry Maguire is Jadon Sancho. They think Harry Maguire is Koundé. And they think that these players are all the same. They're like, wow, we spent £8 million on Harry Maguire and that we've been ridiculed. We're not doing it for Sancho, even though Sancho plays in a different position and is a different player. So I think that United have been severely burnt by Harry Maguire, and it's now preventing them spending big on other players. But the reality is, if you had a director of football, you'd actually have the knowledge that, yeah, the Maguire deal was ridiculously overpriced, but he was a £50 million player, and you paid nearly 50% more than his value on top of it. But that shouldn't stop you buying a Jadon Sancho, who in this market is worth £80 million, probably more. Or Koundé, who in this market is worth 60 million. The reality is, I think Man City bought Ruben Diaz for 50 million plus Otamendi. Well, Otamendi probably was 20 million, wasn't he? So, technically Man City didn't spend 70 million, but when you combine the two, they probably did. So why would Koundé not be worth that as well? Safe says, Mark, I'm telling you, the drop-off for Man United since Sir Alex Ferguson left wouldn't have been this big if we'd signed Mourinho straight away. Well, yeah, I wish we had got a better manager than Moyes afterwards, but most of the good options weren't available, were they? I think Glazers have an obligation to keep us world-class, whether they like it or not. But what they do, Manchester United, I say this every few months, Man United are the Juventus of Italy. They are the Barcelona of Spain. They are the PSG of France. We are the Celtic of Scotland. We are in a position where, do you see Juventus not competing for Serie A for 5 years? Do you see Barcelona not competing for La Liga for 5 years? Do you see PSG not competing for the French League for 5 years? Do you see Ajax not competing for Eredivisie for 5 years? What has been allowed to happen to Manchester United and how our expectation as fans has been lowered is disgusting. We're Manchester United. We dominated the Premier League from its inception to the day that Sir Alex Ferguson left. Yes, we didn't win the title every year, but we were always in and around the title. For what, 20 years? And the last 8 years, we are pissing around competing for 3rd, 4th, 5th. We should be not away from the title for 3 years, let alone 8 or 9. And not even being in title races for the 8 or 9 years is disgusting. And whoever's in charge of the club, whether it's the Glazers or a billionaire, whether we've got a director of football or not, that is not acceptable. We are the biggest club in England, and we are nowhere near that. We are nowhere near the best club in England, but we are the biggest club in England. And what we've become is disgusting. But we've all become so used to it. And we're all infighting so much. Like United fans always are infighting. You're not a real fan. We're better than you. Our group's better than you. You don't do this. You don't that. We fight. And to be honest with you, if you're on the board of United, you're probably like, we don't like that. But they're probably thinking, well, it takes the pressure off us. It takes the pressure off us, doesn't it? Because, I was watching a documentary today actually about Princess Diana. Don't ask me why. I just was. And when she died in Paris, there was a big outcry about the press because the press were following her. She crashed. She died in a car crash on a road, obviously, in a tunnel in Paris, and they were being pursued by paparazzi on bikes. And in the days afterwards, the backlash was about the paparazzi. So what did some newspapers do? They twisted it towards the royal family and said, well, the Queen's not in London. She's not come back to London from Balmoral. She should be in London. She should be doing things like this, that and the other. And, you could cynically look at that and say, well, the press were doing that because the fingers were being pointed at them. They needed another enemy. They needed another person to point the finger at. And I think United, the board get away with it. And I'm not saying that they purposely implore fans to argue amongst each other or they purposely get the finger pointed at Ollie. But they are the constant problem with this football club. They're the ones with the power to make us happy, to make Ollie happy, to make us be title contenders. And to be honest, for 75% of the year, nobody really mentions the board. It's only when transfers get mentioned, everyone realises why we're not doing well, because they are the problem. It's not about planes going over Old Trafford. It's not about green and gold scarves. It's not about singing songs about them at Old Trafford. It's not about whatever that disgusting thing that happened at Ed Woodward's house. It's about grown-up conversation. Manchester United should be fighting for the title every year. We've not done it for 8 years, and the people in charge of this football club are solely responsible for that. Because you own it. You own it. It's your problem. If I own a dog and it's crapping on someone's garden, then I can't just say, wow, it's nothing to do with me. It's my dog. It's my problem. I've got to solve it. I own it. So Manchester United is failing. It's failing. We're having a good season, but collectively, forget this season for a minute, we're failing. Why are we failing? What's the first thing you would do to solve that? If I said to you, right, you've got one wish. You've got one wish, everybody. Manchester United have not won a title since 2013. They won't be winning it this year, and it's 2021. The first title they can win is May 2022. That's 9 years. 9 years! 9 years since we last won the title before we can win it again. Because we're not going to win it this year. And we won't win it next year. So it's going to be 10 years. But let's say 9. Right now. The next season's not even started yet. I don't want it to be 10 years. I want it to be 9 years, no longer. I want to win the title in May 2022. Which means I've got to do something this summer. What's the one thing you can do right now to make us win that title? And I guarantee every single one of you won't say, put Dean Henderson in goal and put De Gea on the bench. You're going to say, change the owners or get the owners to spend money. That's what you're going to get. That's what you're going to get to do. Or get a director of football or something like that. Something like that. Because, and this is not hate. This is not, I can't be, you know what? One of the big things I always have a problem with is if I say, oh, that player's not played well, and there'll be someone in the live going, oh, you hate that player. It's not hate. I want Manchester United to do well. I don't know the Glazers. I don't hate the Glazers. But I know they own the football club, and I know the football club is underachieving. Therefore, I go right to the top and I say, well, you're the ones with the power. If I was in charge of Manchester United and I was watching a show like this tonight, I would be like, shit, they're not happy. They're talking a lot of sense. They know we're miles off where we need to be, and they're not happy. I can change that. I've got the power to change that. I don't think they even care. I don't think they've got. I don't think they're kept awake at night at all. In fact, they've probably sat there with a big grin because the other football club they own is the best team, has just won the Super Bowl. But God, if I was in charge, just like you, director of football in straight away, money pumped into that club straight away in numerous areas. But I want to run a football club. I don't want to run a business. Well said, Mark. A lot of United fans are either too young or not follow the team long enough to have seen this club in its prime. At one time, we were conditioned to think second was unacceptable. Southpaw loves sports. I remember Gary Neville saying it. I remember Sir Alex Ferguson saying it at the start of the season. Every season, the priority was to win the league, and if you finished second, you were gutted. That used to be what run through our football club. The way this club has been run by the owners is absolutely disappointing ever since Sir Alex left. I miss the old days where the main rivalry is Man United and Arsenal. Yeah, well, there are parallels with that. Club and fans are only permanent things, says Sirham. And petition to crowdfund buying United and make Mark CEO, says KIG. Well, I mean, it's... I mean, would you want that job? I think we'd all want that job, but I also think that it'd be a very hard job. But that's the whole point. I would never take it personally if I was the owner of Manchester United and I was looking at the comments that are there now. I would be like, I would publicly do it. I mean, the great thing about German football, as I said this morning, is that their CEO and their sporting director, they speak quite often to the public. I would come out and say, look, it's not acceptable where we are. The problem with Man United is the only person who ever talks is Ollie. Mourinho said this. No one talks at this club. You as the manager are the vocal representation of this club, and yet he's employed by lots of people above him. There is no accountability and no public speaking from people above our club, our manager, unless it's speaking to the shareholders. Oh, what a surprise. If it's to do with money, they'll come out and talk about how much money they're making for the shareholders. But there's no speaking to the fans in general, not like what you get in Germany. You won't get the CEO talking about Jadon Sancho or anything like that at Manchester United. You won't get a sporting director talking about things because we haven't bloody got one. The only time our CEO talks publicly is when he's talking to the shareholders, not to the fans. So the way this club is run is a mystery in many ways, but if I was in charge, I'd be open and honest. I would come out and be open and honest. I would come out and say, this has not been acceptable over the last few years. Manchester City are winning titles. We used to run this city. We were the team winning titles, and I tell you what, that's not going to happen. It's like Sir Alex Ferguson when he came in and he said, "I'm going to knock Liverpool off his perch." You love those sort of statements as a fan. You might think they're naive. You might think he's not going to do it. A lot of people did think he was mad, but he went and did it. But he told us he was going to do it as well. We don't get those firm statements of affirmation from Manchester United anymore. We don't get them noisy neighbours, Man City, we're going to topple them. Liverpool, that's the big rivalry, we're going to be number one. We don't get that. All we get is we're on the right path, we're improving, we're still learning. It's a challenging market. We do want to buy players at the right price. It's all very defeatist. It's like, we're trying. Yeah, you're trying the patience of the fans, to be honest. But no, we're trying is not good enough for a club like Manchester United. Manchester United don't try. Manchester United do. We go and get what we want. You know, we go home with the prom queen. That's what we do. We win. We're arrogant. That's what we should be doing. But we've lost that. We've lost our way over the last 8-9 years. And it's sad to see. And I don't see the way back. I don't really see the way back, because unless everyone else starts running their club like ours, we're too far behind. A couple of key injuries and we're in the same boat as Liverpool. Not going to be a class of 92 again. We have to buy them, says Lobby the Lobster. And Mark, Carrick should be nowhere near the coaching. Ollie needs a Quarez next to him, not a Carrick, says Matthew Parker. I think, if I'm absolutely blunt, I think the football club at the moment is selling you magic beans. And we're all Jack. But our beans ain't going to grow into a beanstalk that's going to lead us to a big pot of gold. I think we're being sold false promises. I think we're being sold fairy dust. And I think we're hoping it. I think we're hoping it will work. I think we're hoping for a miracle. I think we are hoping for a miracle. I don't see a clear, defined plan or strategy or hunger from that football club to be the best club in England, let alone the best team in Europe. And some people will say you're overreacting, but I'm not talking about Solskjaer. I'm not talking about the players. I'm talking about above it. I'm talking about Mourinho's time. I'm talking about Van Gaal's time. I'm talking about a consistent theme at this football club where every manager is set up to fail through the inaccuracy around a proper path. The structure in the football club is not good enough. There's too many amateurs in that football club in different areas. There's people in roles that should exist, but we don't have them. So we don't have people in them roles. There's too much focus on business and not on football. And every now and again with me, it just gets me very tired. And I think the spark for me today was that Man City game. I could not believe that 5 of their first team players were on the bench. And yet I looked at their starting 11 and I was like, bloody hell. It's still the best team in England. And then Laporte. We need a centre-back. Liverpool need a centre-back. Chelsea need a centre-back. They've got the centre-back that would be the best centre-back in the Premier League apart from Man City, and he sat on the bench. Eye-opener. It was a real eye-opener for me today. And I'm not going to sit here and lie. The plan of this football club, about 3 years, heading in the right direction. Our ceiling's second place while Man City are doing what they're doing, I'm afraid. They are, when they click, they're too good for us. And look, I hope we beat Man City next week. But that's not winning the war. That's just winning a battle. And we know we can win battles. Man United can beat anybody on their day. We've done that. We beat PSG convincingly. We beat Leipzig convincingly. But we didn't win the war. I think that Champions League campaign is the epitome of Manchester United. We can beat anybody. And we can beat them deservedly. We smashed Leipzig. And we deserve to beat PSG in Paris. And we won those battles by kicking ass. But we lost the war. Because they're still in the Champions League and we're in the Europa League. So, some hard-hitting truths tonight. The fact that nothing changed on a board level after last summer says it all. What says Gustav? But, you know, sometimes you do get a Saturday night show like this where, you know, maybe there's not loads to talk about. It's on the eve of a big game. And then something happens with a rival and you have a wake-up. And you go, I love this football club. I love our fan base. I love what we've got on the United stand. And I love the fact that we can talk about lots of different things. And I'm very, very excited about the game tomorrow. But I also look at the big picture and go, I can't keep swallowing this fairy dust anymore. We are hoping for a miracle. That's what we're hoping for. Other clubs aren't waiting for miracles. They're going out and getting their dreams, and we should be doing that. and we're being sold false promises and false positivity. And when I read that story tonight about United's transfer strategy is starting to pay off because we're going to get Sancho for a lot cheaper than what we should have got him last summer, I thought, hold on a minute, who swallows this horseshit? Why would I care that you're going to get Sancho for 60 million instead of 100 million? All I want is Sancho, and we've missed out on him for a year. I don't care about how cheap you get him because it makes no difference to me, because our owners take dividends out of this club that other owners don't do anyway. So why would I care about this club saving money? Because it doesn't benefit me as a fan. All I want is I want our team to win. I don't really care what we spend. I'm not bothered what we spend. I wasn't bothered when we spent £80 million on Harry Maguire at the time because we needed a centre-back. I've got every right to moan about it now because I didn't do the deal. I didn't scout the player. I didn't do the deal. I was like, buy the player, but it's nothing to do with me. Now that you've done it, you did it. It's your mistake, not mine. We needed a centre-back. I was like, get him. But, you know, you did the deal. It was a bad deal. You should get the sack, not me. I'll still support the club. Hi from Paris. Thanks for everything you do. With a new CDM and winger next year, where will Donny start? He could even be better than De Jong, says Carl. Well, you know, that is a good thing. That is a good thing. I don't know what's going to happen with Donny. I don't think anybody does. Safe says, I think the epitome of our owners was the January transfer window. We were at the top and needed a centre-back, but what did they do? Put business ahead of a potential title. Well, yeah, they did. We're basically the English AC Milan, says Epic. Yeah, and what's happened to AC Milan never should have happened as well. Anyway, please subscribe to the channel, bottom right-hand corner. I know I'm asking for it a lot at the moment. But we are trying to get to 1 million. Bottom right-hand corner to do that. Please share the video if you have subscribed because that helps. Share it on Twitter and Facebook and all that jazz. Smash a like on the video. And I must just come back to what people were saying at the start. I have got new lighting and a new camera lens. So I don't know whether it's made any difference. I saw some people saying new lighting, this, that and the other. So I don't know whether it has made it any better or not. I'll be watching it back myself in a few minutes, but I didn't want to ignore those comments at the start. I just didn't want to start the show talking about lighting and cameras and everything like that. So if anybody has got anything constructive to say, let me know. Yeah, it looks better. You look brighter. It made a huge difference. Looks good. A lot brighter. It's better. Yeah, it's great. Yes, I noticed. You look older. Well, probably because of the lighting. Yeah, it is new. I mean, if anyone's interested, I've got a key light there now off my right hand side. So, and I put my other light there. So, yeah. Okay. I do look tired. I've had problems with my eyes for the last 6 weeks. A lot of people have noticed that, but yeah. Thanks everyone for watching. I'm off to the opticians on Monday, so yeah. I don't know what it is. It's probably, you know what it probably is? It's lockdown, being stuck in front of lights and cameras for the last 6 months. I don't really get out as much anymore. But thanks everyone for watching. And look, I don't mean it to be a depressing show. I'm not depressed. I'm not in a bad mood. I'm excited about the game tomorrow. I just think that what Man City did today and what they've done over the last few months, how are we going to win? I just think there's too much talk about we're going to be title contenders. And I'm like, it's not as simple as saying the words. How do you get to them? Pep's not going anywhere and they're not going to take their foot off the pedal. Their next thing is to try and win the Champions League. They're trying to compete with Bayern Munich. They don't give a shit about us. They've mastered the Premier League. They know they can finish above us every year. They're going for Bayern Munich, which makes them better in the league. Thanks for watching. I will speak to you later. Have a good day. Smash a like on the video and big game tomorrow.